this stage in his life, and this is the man representing Root Gaming in the bottom right hand side of the map. It's GunGFuBanDa.
And of course, in the top left side, we are looking at the main base of the French Zerg, one of the very best in France, according to the Muslim. And he's right about that. Our Zerg player, Denver. Representing Altar, I believe it is, right?
Yep. And it's an interesting match because, yeah, I was also checking like the odds and checking kind of like a Ligulek and whatnot. And my perception also was going into this match, it's got to be something like a 50-50, especially with Denver's performances in the CVP matchup. I think he's looked really good recently. But bookies, for example, thought it was like a 2.7 to 1 in favor of GunGfu. So that's a little bit surprising.
I stand corrected, by the way. It's Drogo who's on Altar. Denver is on Team Oblon. I apologize.
Oblon? What is it?
Yeah, Oblon. O-P-L-O-N.
I looked it up last time. I couldn't pronounce it either way.
Yeah, I do think we have some time. I think this is going to be a slower paced series than the PvP roller coaster we just witnessed, where MaxPax was running around with 2, if not 3 armies, looking for openings non-stop. Denver has been quite vocal about this matchup in the past, and if there is one thing he absolutely hates, it's Void Rays and shield batteries and cannons. The holy triangle of Protoss nonsense. He's not a fan, Cats.
Yeah, most definitely not. But maybe we have a new Denver here, a Denver that is more willing to adapt and play more chaotic games. At least in this season, that's a lot of what I've seen from him. And he's still singing. I mean, going into now the early portions of the game. So it's lovely to see really that he has this renewed attitude. And we'll see if GunGfu also wakes up, right? Like for the start of the series.
Everybody is singing until 5 Void ratio of a Prismatic alignment and gun down your hatchery. Are you still singing? Dan, that's the real question, Cats. Hey, talk to me about all the signings that Root did, because it seems like you guys got quite a few players, GunGfu being one of them. Kind of came out of nowhere to me, but I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, it's not actual signings per se. We are just trying to offer kind of a way for pro players that are transitioning between teams and whatnot to have something to compete for a little bit more than they do and just have opportunities. So we are putting together a tournament circuit. Over the year, we are giving $15,000 in prize pool. So anyone's welcome to join above Masters Plus. And that means that 5 European pros have already joined, and they're not contracted. So there's no signings actually. Everyone is free to leave whenever they want. And we'll be really happy if they actually find better offers and whatnot.
Okay, so it's like an improved version of Team Roddy.
Someone said that the other day, but yeah, I wouldn't call it that. I don't know how you operate yet.
I would call it like that. How I operate. My operation is a charity, mate.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's a little bit like that, but yeah, merit-based, I guess. We've been putting a lot of work with Awesome Sauce, the previous observer of WCS, is helping me out with organizing a lot of this, and obviously Twitch coming in with support as well to fund a lot of the prize pool. So yeah, I'm really happy with how that's going.
I think that's awesome. Some wholesome news in 2021 for the StarCraft scene. We'll take it, Cats. GunGfu is opening up here with a Stargate. It's going to be Oracle into at least a second Oracle. We know that Drogo is very fond of the triple Oracle opening in this matchup. I don't know if GunGfu is a triple Oracle kind of guy, but he seems to be a double Oracle dude at least. And he's going to find one drone. No, he's not, but he might still get it. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was a good readjustment from Denver, but ends up losing the drone and canceling the Spore regardless. Another drone has to be morphed into a Spore there, but it's actually the wrong one that was the one that was not being fired at by the Oracle here. So now this Oracle trying to get this Spore. It's going to run out of energy right before, however, with the Queens showing up. GunGfu not finding too much, really.
No, that was not bad for Denver, actually. I feel like it could have been bad. He could have ended up losing a couple of drones there, but excellent crisis management. Denver did make quite a few links. It really felt that he expected some adepts to show up, but the adepts have not been doing anything. I mean, it's only 12 links, which is somewhat standard, I guess, but it always feels like, well, I mean, you kind of wish that they were doing something other than just sitting at home looking at oracles.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that links oftentimes just want to be out on the map, but maybe he wasn't confident that he knows where the adepts are for GunGFuBanDa. GunGfu, of course, had those adepts at the 3rd. Now those 2 adepts have turned into 5. So they are going to look for a little bit of a poke. With 3 oracles as well, they are going to be extremely effective against Zerglings in particular. So GunGfu looking to apply a little bit of pressure here. The Queens also are going to be under threat.
Yep, I do think Denver is going to end up losing a couple of drones here, but the question is how many? At this point, it's only 2. And I mean, GunGFu has been a little bit indecisive or perhaps unlucky with the Oracles, because a few times he has turned around and it's very obvious that he wants to get that final shot off, doesn't quite get it. Denver now queues up 5 roaches, and I'm looking at that creep highway in the center of the map, and I don't think he's going to stop building roaches, Cats.
Yeah, there's already 6 queens out. There's already another queen on the way as well. Some circling for reinforcements seemingly. So this is going to be a kind of a fast punch here, though he starts a lair at the same time. So a little bit confused as of to exactly what Denver wants to do. Not all the queens have moved out either. So yeah, it looks like he definitely wants to apply a lot of pressure, but it doesn't seem as committed as it could be.
No, I think that's just in case you have a Dark Shrine kind of lair, you know? Because we've seen some of these builds get absolutely annihilated by a few Dark Templars. This seems to be a great catch, though, for Denver, as he gets on top of the sentries. The Oracles were not there to save the day. And this is honestly not working out for GunGFu, as he's now down 30 army supply. The Oracles obviously don't deal that much damage. They find one Ravager, but it feels that Denver's armies is going to be way too big and powerful here.
Yeah, we'll see, because he is reinforcing with Lynx mostly. So if these Roaches and these Ravagers fall early enough, then I think that GunGFu can still hold. I mean, Lynx, fortunately for Denver, I guess he has taken care of most of the Adepts, which are the bigger threat to the Lynx. And the Oracles are actually out of energy. So yeah, now with these Roaches morphing into Ravagers, it looks like Denver is pushing on through. It doesn't look like GunGFu stands much of a chance.
Nope, I really just think that GunGFu's army is not good enough here. He does drop a Desperation Dark Shrine, but by the time that that's going to be ready, I'm pretty sure Denver's going to have 4 Overseers in this natural too. GunGFu is doing his absolute best to get a couple of batteries up, but I'm afraid that it's not going to make the difference here. Gateway gets on power too. We have a Disruptor that's currently being chrono boosted out, but the battery is not in range to heal this Robo. So that Disruptor will never see the light of day, and just like that, Denver takes a very casual 1-0 lead. 7 minutes in, pretty straightforward game, Cuts.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me as well is the approach of GunGFu was actually pretty decent against the offbeat type of attack that Denver was pulling out. Like, sure, he was doing the Queen Walk, but most Queen Walks are very Roach and Ravager heavy. This one was very Link heavy from the get-go. And if we think about the pieces that GunGFu was getting, it's almost like he was expecting something like that, right? Like 3 Oracles, something like 6 Adepts to start off. But all of that gets picked off. The Oracles have no energy, and unfortunately, the Lynx and the few Roaches and Queens prevail.
It did feel that GunGFu got a little bit unlucky a few times, because the Oracles, they kept trying to turn around, trying to get a final shot off on either Queens or drones, and just not finding it time and time again. And these things, they do really stack up, and maybe if GunGFu would have found some more damage, the hold would have been a lot more doable, because perhaps he would have been slightly more in position, and the Oracles could have kept the sentries alive, then maybe batteries finish up, and it could have all looked completely different. But I don't think Denver really gives a damn. He just took a very cheeky 1-0 lead, and he didn't show us anything other than, yeah, I can make Roaches of 53 drones and I can run to the other side of the map on Lightshade. I mean, those are perhaps the best victories to start off a best of 5 with.
Yeah, most definitely. And I have to wonder if we're going to see it again, because the next map is Jagannatha. Lightshade and Jagannatha, probably the best 2 maps for Queen Walks in the map pool, I would say. I'm not sure if you disagree with that.
No, I don't disagree with that at all. It's definitely better than Romanticide. Take that, the Muslim.
The Muslim says Romanticide is the good one for Queen Walk?
No. I made fun of Benny once when he said, this map is not very good for Queen Walks. I was like, wow, Ben, hot take over here.
Alrighty, so we are loaded in already. And in the top right-hand side of the map, playing for Oplon, it is Denver. Is that it? Oplon?
I think you nailed it, mate. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. In the bottom left side, we are looking at the main base of the German Protoss. I often say he's made out of raw German steel and twisted sex appeal. It's GunGFuBanDa. I mean, look at him. It's hard to disagree with that statement, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. He is majestic. And he's going to be dropping a gateway here on the low ground, so pretty standard stuff to start off. But yeah, I mean, this map, pretty nifty for the Queen Walks. We saw a Queen Walk already from Denver in the previous map. Have to wonder if he's going to be doing that. Oh, this drone, indecisive. Okay, trying to juke the probe.
Yep. Denver will still just be able to get his hatchery down. It's going to be the forward one, so maybe some of the drones are going to be a little bit more exposed. I do think if GunGFu would go for the same build again, it is very likely that his Oracles are just going to be a bit more fortunate. Whoa! Okay. Denver has also snuck a drone to the other side of the map, and he could very well go for a hatch block here. I kind of like these kinds of games, and I know you're an absolute expert in them, Cats.
I love hatch blocks. I'm not sure that that hatch blocks are my favorite approach as of late. Bly does pull them off from time to time. I don't see it from many other players. It looks like for the time being, Denver just looking to delay and will drop a pull on his side of things as well as a gas. But I mean, it's nice, right? He still gets a little bit of a delay. There's only one gas on the side of GunGFu, so he definitely wanted to drop this Nexus perhaps a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I do think he wanted to drop it earlier, but now on the other end, I'm like, this is still a drone that could have just been at home, could have been mining, and it seems like a reasonably big investment. There's a reason why this is not the standard. That is because it absolutely does slow the Zerg economy down. So I'm a bit confused, but maybe Denver has got a 200 IQ plan for us.
Yeah, I mean, this drone, there is 300 resources available. There's always the potential for some weird shenanigans happening with this drone, but no. Instead, Denver is just going to start both of his queens, going to start the circlings, and we're going to continue on to just play a more standard game. Drones actually off of gas right now from Denver. The one drone that was mining the gas after getting the link speed will get off of that, so just prioritizing economy for now, and things will continue as per normal.
Okay. The drone was in a bit of danger against that adept, but it morphed into an extractor. GunGFu doesn't want to keep his adept at home, so he's just going to shade it to the other side of the map. GunGFu not going for Stargate here. He's going for a Twilight Council immediately, and Denver has already scouted this. Okay, I wonder if Denver is now going to do something feisty as a follow-up, as he's just going to keep morphing extractors. I guess it is a good scout, right? But it's also a pricey one.
Yeah, I guess that is just what he's looking for at this point in time. And I mean, yeah, it is a little bit of a feisty scout. It's more expensive than normal as well, right? If he keeps doing this. So he's just checking to see what units are going to pop out. Gonna continue to make gases. I'm not sure if I like that, especially before any units are threatening the drone. Right now, the drone can tank a shot from any unit, actually.
Wait. What if he's gonna put the drone as part of the wall up, and the 12 links are gonna run to the other side of the map, and Denver is gonna try to get in there? Because now the Stalker is not in the right position yet. I mean, it's 12 links, but imagine if 12 links sneak into the natural. Stalker does move, but there is no battery here yet. I guess without warp gate ready, adepts. The adepts are in the center of the map, and they're going to get caught. I actually think this is going to work out really nicely for Denver, as he gets one adept, doesn't quite get the second one, or will he?
Nope. Yeah, and that's actually huge. If the adept can get to the other side, that is a lot of firepower against the Zerglings, much more so than the Stalker. So this is actually really nice for Denver, like you were saying. A good warp in there to protect the Stalker from GunGFuBanDa while still minimizing surface area, and will be able to tag the Stalker there. The adept will fall, but with another adept already in place and the shield battery finishing, it looks like Denver is not going to be able to break through.
Yeah, obviously still kind of nice as a Zerg player to pick off 2 adepts early on when the follow-up is going to be resonating glaive adepts. But what I am a bit concerned about is the Roach Warren that's only now going down. Might still be barely in time, but I have the feeling we're only going to have a couple of Roaches by the time that the first adepts will start knocking on the front door. And it's going to be pretty hard to deal with adepts that have the glaive upgrade.
Yeah, especially because Denver has kind of played a really information-heavy game. He's invested a lot into that early scout that you were mentioning, into taking those gases, then into the pseudo-link flood. I mean, it wasn't very many links. It wasn't too threatening, but that means his economy is not super well set up, right? Like, it's actually GunGFu is just trailing by 1 worker right now, and he's going to be on the offense. The Roaches are starting to be made, but even if Denver holds this perfectly, I think GunGFu is still very much in this game.
Absolutely, but then GunGFu should either always be able to get a couple of drones or at least keep the adepts alive. And if he keeps the adepts alive, then they should come in handy defensively, as Denver is making more links, more Roaches. Wonder if he's going to be aggressive with it. Roach is not quite here yet to save this queen, but the queen does get saved just by the threat of all these Zerg units being around.
Yeah, and the robotics bay is almost done, or is now finished for GunGFuBanDa, so I'm wondering what he's going to do. He does have the Warp Prism, so I wouldn't mind something like swapping onto Disruptor Harassment from here.
Could Denver drop a Spire? Like, now just go back into droning, and then maybe drop a Spire? Because this is obviously a game where there is no Stargate, so if you can get a Spire up, you don't have to worry about your opponent picking up on it and having Phoenixes ready.
Yeah, no Stargate, and the base unit that has been invested into, and the upgrades that have been invested into, they don't really pan out well against Muta because they can't shoot up the adepts, that is. But Denver's going to find some pickoffs here. Also, the follow-up. Denver doesn't quite know it, but it is those disruptors, and it is the Warp Prism with speed. So Muta would be kind of the perfect answer, but again, Denver doesn't know that. He's going to go for the Roach speed instead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess he doesn't want to get too carried away, because sometimes there is a follow-up with 1 or 2 Immortals and then all these Adepts and maybe a handful of Sentries. But with the extra gases going down now, Denver trying to get his economy where it should be in this matchup, I'm still expecting a Spire in this game. I do think that he wants to go Spire, but he just doesn't want to rush into it. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, when the Warp Prism speed and these now 2 disruptors loaded in are revealed, I can't imagine there's many other options. And there's a Spire anyway just right now, so he's gonna want those Muta. He wishes that Spire was already done at this point, right? Because there's no threat from GunGFuBanDa to actually kill Denver. He's just looking for damage, and he's gonna have a reasonable window to do some damage with these disruptors.
I absolutely agree. We saw Yona not too long ago take barely any damage from Disruptors. I have the feeling that it's inevitable for Denver to take some damage here. First 2 shots, not very good though. I mean, good defense by Denver, pulled the drones, Link's getting on top of these Disruptors. Perhaps a little bit too trigger happy there by GunGfu to fire both Novas at once.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I wish he had just fired one. At the same time, maybe he expected he'll get surrounded by Links as a response, so he really wanted to cover his other Disruptor shot, but neither really connecting too good for him. And I mean, that's a heavy investment. Now GunGfu going into Colossus, and lucky for him, also going into Blink, which is going to do well against the Muta, or at least well enough if he's out on the map already.
Yeah, but you do also need a couple of batteries and cannons though, right? Like just a few Blink Stalkers, that's often not going to cut it. You want to have a little bit of an anchor to fall back to. At this point, he's still completely in the dark. He has absolutely no idea. He may be expecting it. The double hallucinated Phoenix Scout in the main base is not actually going into the natural as the Disruptors show up. But GunGfu wasn't born last night. He should realize that if Denver was actually building Roaches and Ravages, this should be a hard hold, right? Because we know that these units are not that expensive. They should be cheap. So if it's this easy to stabilize, something else is happening. And he has now confirmed that there is a Spire.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit surprised that that's not his trigger to just move out right away. Instead, he's going to look to secure extra bases, drop 2 Stargates. So he maybe assesses that he's already done enough to have an advantage in this game moving forward if he can just defend well. But I mean, he doesn't really have those Phoenix already out. He doesn't have a lot of Stalkers, so this Muta still stand potential to kind of bring Denver back into it.
Yep, I almost wonder if the double Stargate now is an overreaction. It also feels that maybe that's what Denver wants. And then Denver is just going to remax on Roach, Ravager, Bane, and that's obviously where Phoenixes don't exactly make the difference. Because if you already have Blink Stalkers, wouldn't it be better not to go into double Stargate?
Yeah, perhaps. I think the double Stargate will allow for GunGfu to move out on the map, though, with a very sizable army. And he did just have that very good defense against the Roach Ravager, right? So, like, he still has all the pieces in those Disruptors and those 2 Colossus that I don't think he should be worried against the ground army for a little while at least.
Yeah. Denver is actually doubling down on the Mutas. He already had 10 on the map. He's going to make 6 more, but so far these Mutas are not finding a whole lot of success. Where are these targets anyway? They're all the way in the back of the main. He did fly over them.
Oh, no, he did see them.
Yep, he did see. Maybe he didn't click on it, but he did see them.
Yeah, so that's actually surprising that he continues to commit into Muta actually after seeing those, right? So, yeah, I quite like the position for GunGfu here. I think that he had a timing where he could have maybe attacked before the Muta were out or as soon as he saw the Spire. But I mean, this works out well too. I mean, he hasn't lost almost anything to the harassment. So if you're going to be this good on defense while continuing to grow your army and make it a very tech-heavy army compared to your opponent, yeah, that's great too.
I would actually love to see GunGfu drop a Spire. Actually, Dark Shrine. I'm a big fan of the Phoenix DD combo, but especially with the way that Denver is playing this game at the moment, I do think Denver is going to lose air control in the near future if GunGfu will build a few more Phoenixes or even drops a Fleet Beacon a bit later. Then I think having the possibility to warp in some DTs if you need them the most is lovely, because it's going to be so hard for Denver to keep Overseers alive.
Yeah, and it seems that GunGfu actually had a similar read to you as far as like what Denver's capable of. So he's expecting that ground kind of transition from him after making this bunch of Muta. Denver did commit to a few more Muta maybe than he was expecting. He stopped at 4 Phoenix, but now he's been making Void Rays, which is rather interesting. And the Muta still have found a little bit of damage for Denver, but maybe not enough. This is big.
I definitely don't think that Denver has enough to break him here, but we'll see. The first Nova does completely whiff. I mean, that's a great start. That could be a battery overcharge. Banelings on the left side do get obliterated by these disruptive shots, and Even if Denver may find some success here, it should never be enough to completely win the game. 12 probes is decent, but I do think he really needed more cats.
Yeah, he definitely needed a lot more than that. 64 links in production, so Denver clearly wanted to snowball this lead. He clearly thought, I'm gonna have enough of an anchor in those Rogue Ravager that I can reinforce them. But I mean, those links are just gonna be useless at this point, right? Because he just didn't do enough. He didn't break through, and still most of the GunGfu army is still standing. A lot of his AoE is still standing, and that just pans out really terribly for Denver's chances.
Yeah. Links alone, not going to do it, but 20 Banelings, maybe. If we can find one more connection to a mineral line, and we can drop that probe count a little bit lower, then it is possible, as Denver is going to show up at the third base. The doors are wide open, cannon has been unpowered. I gotta say, I am impressed by the amount of success that Denver is finding. I do still think the supplies are a bit deceiving, because GunGfu's army is better, and not by a little bit, but by a lot. But maybe on creep, if Denver can find some resources, maybe kill the Colossus, then Links and Banes could very well make the difference.
Yeah, this was a really nice run by as well for Denver. Again, unexpected. On the other side, he's trying, but there are a lot of stalkers there sitting by GunGFuBanDa. Denver has made it to Hive somehow, which is impressive. GunGfu did finish the Dark Shrine that you were talking about. He hasn't looked to use it yet. And the Templar Archives on the way as well. That is going to be really key. Because I feel like, I mean, Archons are going to be amazing against the number of links that Denver has made, not just this game, but, you know, even in the previous one. He seems to really like links.
Really sick, though, by Denver. I'm so impressed by the position that he got himself into. Just finding damage where I thought it was going to be very hard to find damage. The Mutas were a lot more successful than I think we both anticipated. Now he's got Corruptus out, +1 melee is done, and Hive Tech is done as well, so he could even start adding in some Vipers if he feels like that's the unit he needs. This is looking a lot more promising now for Denver than it did a while ago, if you ask me.
Yeah, for sure. However, still with the Archons now making their way in, I mean, these Banelings are kind of ineffective against everything that GunGfu has, so the trades are not going well for Denver on that front, and this army is actually looking to get shattered. Yeah, there are a lot of Corruptors to get rid of the Colossus and the Void Ray, but will that be enough? Actually, if there were lingering reinforcements right now, it might be. The Banelings are going to try to show up. That looked a little bit close for a second, but it's going to be GunGfu still standing tall on the defense.
Yeah, I don't really know what the Corruptors were doing on the left side when that battle started. It felt that if the Corruptors would have gone, as we have some Banelings rolling into the third, finding some decent connections there, 9 more probes go down. But it felt like those Corruptors could have gone for the Colossus a bit sooner, and then maybe Denver would have been even more successful there. You know, the funny thing is that Denver obviously doesn't have a strong defensive setup at all. He spent pretty much all of his resources on units throughout the game, doesn't have the greatest upgrades, doesn't have some crazy transition happen, and he barely even has Spore Crawlers and Spines. So there's one base that has a few of those. But that's it. It's just units. But if GunGfu exposes his army and gets a bit too ahead of himself, maybe there is a chance for Denver to just swallow a GunGfu up.
Yeah, it's incredible what Denver has been able to make with this little that he has to work with. This base will actually fall for GunGfu. And I mean, these run-bys from Denver have put on so much work on the economic front for him. Things are looking pretty decent. I mean, now we have 5 bases against 3. That is insane. The DTs are going to try to do something here. A lot of workers actually falling on the other side. Finally, GunGfu with something going on for him on the other side of the map. But yeah, I'm not sure whose position I like better now.
Yeah, I mean, 63 drones obviously doesn't look very promising, but then a 3-base Protoss 15 minutes into a game of Legacy of the Void, that's also not very promising, because the main and natural are going to run real dry in the near future. It's funny. It feels that Denver is one amazing fight away from winning this game. He just needs to take out one more pretty terrifying Protoss army. That is going to be very hard, because that army is technically going to be better, but it doesn't have too many splash damage units anymore. Like, the Colossus have already been taken out. Maybe the Corruptors can go for a Nexus somewhere. I actually think Denver is starting to do it.
Yeah, the problem for Denver is going to be the upgrades. He's not really kept up on that front at all, right? Like, even if he had the +2 melee earlier, he would have killed the entire mineral line at the third. But I mean, GunGfu is now hit +3 himself. Denver's still just at +1. As far as attack is concerned, those Templars, though, are actually get taken down. The Warp Prism as well, 1 remaining, but it will fall right away. The Storm not nearly done yet. And Denver pushing in. The Battery Overcharge also exposed. Will get taken down. Like you were saying, there is not enough splash here, seemingly for GunGfu, and Denver does it.
Wow. honestly, very impressive game by Denver, where at first it didn't really feel like things were going according to plan. Spire gets scouted as well. You really expected a bit more maybe of the initial Roach Ravager move up, but it was almost like a fake. And when we didn't expect it, and GunGFu didn't expect it either, because he was already going into Void Race, Denver made 6 or 7 additional Mutalisk, and those Mutas, it just caused a lot of chaos, and it opened the doors for Denver to find damage where normally you don't expect him to find damage. And what I really love is that he was playing so aggressive that we barely noticed how weak he actually was at home. And when GunGFu did finally send 2 DTs to the other side of the map, he killed 20 drones immediately, because Denver had almost nothing. No spores, no spines, barely any vision on the left side. It was just all about the units, and he got the job done.
Hyper aggression definitely paying off there. I mean, the storm was moments for completing in that final fight for GunGFu, and all 3 High Templars do get taken down right away. So unfortunate for him, not really anything like force fields or anything like that to buy him time either, right? So once Denver kind of pounces on the army, he is able to close it out. What an incredible effort from him as well with the Rambites. The Lynx found damage time and time again at the 3rd base. And when GunGFu goes back to defend and Denver finally kills the 4th, I mean, I even felt like Denver maybe could have sat back after that a little bit, redroned, but he keeps on the aggression, and GunGFu was just not expecting it.
Nope. Every single time GunGFu thought, all right, now I've stabilized. There was more. There were more Banelings. There were more Lynx. And I think Denver did a great job in just opening the doors at the 3rd and then never allowing GunGFu to rebuild that wall. Every single time he tried, there were Roaches, Ravagers, and Lynx again. And at the same time, there were still these Mutas flying around, finding damage left and right. It's a very fun, high-paced game by Denver. And it felt that that's not like the most reliable style. But once more, these are the playoffs. None of that matters. This is not a ladder game where you're trying to impress someone with the most solid strategy. The only thing that truly matters is winning. And this man has done a great job in that so far. He's now up 2-0. And he's got 3 match points to move on to the next round here in the playoffs. Our French Zerg representing Oblon. It is Denver.
And in the bottom right-hand side, representing Root Gaming, but still looking for offers, it is GunGFuBanDa.
So, to participate in the tournament series of Root, you do have to be on Root. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah. You have to be on Root, so that is the only requirement is to be Masters Plus, and then, yeah, you can join the team. Just submit an application and join the Discord. We do want for the team to feel a little bit like a community where people can come in and kind of like for the pro players transitioning, obviously there's access to the prize pool. But for Masters 3, Masters 2, they're probably not going to win any of the tournaments if we're being honest, right? So those don't sign up to the team to make money, but they'll get a little bit more opportunities to play against higher caliber players, and maybe we can develop some talent down the line.
I think it's an awesome project. It sounds very fun. Great idea, matey.
And the man with great ideas in the last game was Denver, or at least one great idea that he just saw through end to end, right? And that is also kind of been the theme with him in this season. It's just he's playing without pressure, just like a no care type attitude, right? And it really suits him. It feels like it really allows him to flow with his game and just do whatever he wants to do. And it's really refreshing to see.
Yep. I think GunGFu is definitely feeling the pressure now, even though he perhaps just came into the season and thought, I just want to make the playoffs and then we'll see. But then in the playoffs, you don't run into a Max Specs or like a Rain or a Clem that somehow ends up in the lower bracket, or Gabe, for instance, the following round. No, you run into Denver and then you're like, this is actually one of these matches that I should be able to win. And obviously moving on deeper into the tournament will mean more prize money. The prize distribution in these tournaments is super awesome. Even the guys that didn't qualify for the DreamHack Masters, but got close to qualifying, either at the final round or the second to last. No, if you just make it into the close qualifier, top 48 got paid in this tournament. But obviously the deeper you go, the more prize money you win.
Yes, indeed. So there's a lot on the line for a lot of these players. And we were talking about how these two are kind of on the bottom of that top 16, but one of them has the opportunity to kind of move on further, right? And kind of solidify themselves in a better spot than in this case, just their opponent. But I mean, both being considerably perhaps weaker than some of the opposition, at least perceptually, this is a great opportunity for them. So beating each other is really, really important. And had that, Denver has been succeeding. Let's see if GunGFu has an opportunity to turn things around.
Yeah, the winner of this series will move on to play against Lambo in the following round, and that's of course going to be very difficult because Lambo is on the upper echelon of the top 16. I think he will even take offense of just being mentioned top 16. What do you mean top 16? Top 4, right? Lambo is one of these guys that's trying to be the big thing after the initial top 3. That's Clem, Rainer, and Cyril, and he has succeeded in that at least once this year. So that's going to be hard for both players, but we'll see. I mean, top 16 is nice. Top 12 sounds a whole lot better.
Yeah, very good adept positioning here. The adepts and the stalkers, of course, have one more range of vision than probes. So that ledge is not really safe for overlords. It's kind of the same or a very similar situation than we have on Jagannatha. And GunGFu exploiting that.
The Lynx did see another adept spawn there, so even if the Overlord didn't get the confirmation there is a Twilight Council or a Robo in the main base, I do think that Denver can put 2 and 2 together, especially because now it's a 4-minute game and he still hasn't seen an Oracle, he hasn't seen a Void Ray. It kind of makes sense that this is Resonating Glaive Adepts.
Yeah, and it's going to be a very quick DT follow-up as well, so that is very interesting. The Resonating Glaives Adepts could have been hitting a little bit earlier on the side of GunGFu, like around 420 is a very good timing, so he's going to be hitting a little bit later, but he's going to have a very strong transition in those Dark Templars by having mined a little bit more gas perhaps than the normal build order, so this could still confuse Denver.
This could be very bad for Denver, man. And Denver at this point has 10 Zerglings and 4 Queens. Like, if GunGFu doesn't take this careful, but he just goes for it and he shades on top of the army of Denver, I think he straight up wins the game. The Roach Warren is only halfway done. These adepts are going to show up now. Denver is in all sorts of trouble, man. Like a handful of links, that's not good enough. Now GunGFu also sees the timing on that Roach Warren. He sees there are no queens here. He is going to have a field day. He can also kill the Spore Crawler. And if he kills the Spore, don't forget about the Dark Templar follow-up.
Yeah, and I like that he starts shading a little bit earlier just to make sure that Denver maybe doesn't know. I mean, there's not much else to target than the Spore, so he really doesn't give away his plan by any means. He does shade into a mineral line and gets fully surrounded, and the Queens are also here. So actually a nice catch for Denver, but is it too little too late? He has already taken 18 drones worth of damage.
Yep, and he's not done yet losing drones. There's still a few more adepts, even though these adepts were derping a little bit. They absolutely would have been able to get a couple of shots off. War Prism is going to show up and save these adepts for now, but there are 2 more adepts that are going to shade into the natural, and while all of this is going on, obviously, Denver is not thinking about DTs now. He maybe was thinking about it before. Well, I say that. He does morph in 1 Overseer, so that's kind of nice, but he's in trouble, man. This Spore Crawler should be in a bit of trouble, but the Dark Templars don't get on top of it. So Denver does save it for now. But no matter how we spin it, it's still bad for Denver. Actually, that Overseer is on the other side of the map, by the way.
Oh, wow. Yeah, 52 workers to 33. And yeah, I don't think Denver was necessarily considering the Dark Templars. I mean, the Spores were made and the Overseer was made, but it feels like a case of just having the tools available to make them, right? Because for Denver, I mean, he started the Spores anticipating that it could be Stargate. He had a Spore at each base when the Adepts hit. So he was probably thinking you're banking a couple of Oracles or something. There must be some reason you haven't shown up with your first Oracle, but I'm going to make the safety Spores. And that's why he was so late to the Roach Warren as well. And then this Overseer, I mean, he started the lair earlier and just morphed an Overseer when the lair finished. I don't know that he was like, oh, DTs are coming.
It's funny, by the way, that Denver lost 20 drones and is obviously still behind in this game, but maybe if we can get a cancel on this Nexus, which he will, 3 adepts is just barely not good enough. Okay, now it's actually starting to look a little bit more doable, because GunGFu has 60 probes, but obviously there is a lot of oversaturation happening in the natural at this point. But this game really could have been over already, Cats. If GunGFu just warps in 4 more adepts after his initial 7 or 8 adepts and he keeps those adepts together, like how are 12 adepts ever going to die against a couple of links and 4 or 5 queens that barely have any energy?
Yeah, it would have been very difficult. So maybe not going into the main, but staying at the third, and the natural base might have been the wiser choice there from GunGFuBanDa. But I mean, it's a difficult judgment to make. Like you were saying, the Roach Warren wasn't done. He was aware of that. So he just looked for the kill move there by shading into the main. And he's still, I mean, in a very good position. When that third comes up, he will be able to saturate it almost instantly. In fact, already transferring probes before it's really time. And yeah, I mean, I think he's going to stabilize just fine. And it's going to be a difficult game for the French still.
I think where it went wrong for GunGfu, as we do have a few more adepts shading into the third, while the Archons kept the Roaches busy, and this is obviously good damage, and this is not damage that Denver wants to take. I think where it kind of went wrong for GunGfu is not even the shade into the main. I think that one was alright. Like, sure, he lost the adepts, so he killed so many drones. I think the 4 adepts that he shaded into the third base later, those were supposed to be the icing on the cake adepts, right? Like, alright, now I'm gonna find 7 or 8 additional drones, but Denver handled that really well, and GunGfu derped a little bit with the adept movement around the hatchery. So I think that's why he didn't quite find the immediate game-ending damage that I think he would have been able to find. No matter how we spin it, he's still in a great spot.
Yeah, but the saving grace perhaps for Denver is how quick he has been to the hive, and he is going up against disruptors. So he will have the tools in the Vipers to deal with those disruptors. And if you remove those key pieces from GunGfu's army right away, like if GunGfu doesn't find the timing before those Vipers are out, this could still get really complicated for him.
Denver realizes that this army is heading his way, so he's going to morph 8 Roaches into Ravagers immediately, which I think is a great decision, because obviously that will allow him to buy some time too. I mean, this Protoss army definitely is big, it's juicy, it's beefy, it has a lot of HP, and then of course there is zoning potential with those disruptors, but maybe with all the Ravagers, Denver can just barely buy enough time for himself. You don't want to eat any Novas.
Oh, the disruptor!
Oh my god.
Oh, it doesn't get saved, actually. GunGfu with a little bit of a misclick, loading up additional 4 units that weren't the disruptor into the Warp Prism, and now he's gonna have to back away. The first disruptor shot was spent very fast, and there's already one Viper pretty much done for Denver. So if he can get the energy, he can get 2 abducts from that Viper. That's those 2 disruptors. You remove those 2 disruptors from the army, and all of a sudden it's doable.
Denver is doing a really good job here, making an army that's really not that powerful seem powerful and keeping GunGfu at bay. While this is going on, there are some Roaches, I believe, counterattacking at the gold base. As another disruptor is on the fire. This one does get saved. GunGfu is really having a hard time getting Denver out of here. Even though it felt like this game could have ended 3 times at this point, it is still far from over, and Denver is actually the one with a supply lead, which of course is a little bit deceiving because it's Roaches and Ravagers that are not super well upgraded, but GunGfu needs to find a little more than he's been finding so far. The Vipers are now showing themselves too, and if I'm GunGfu, I actually just disengage and I think I go home.
Yeah, but go home to do what, Kev? I mean, he doesn't really have a good answer to the Vipers either at this point in time, so he has to find a different transition. The Warp Prism speed is not going to be too helpful, I want to say, but maybe he can sneak in there, and now actually Denver is on the chase and will take this fight. There is an Immortal to output a lot of damage onto the Roaches at the front, and there's not that many Ravagers. Actually, 20 links being made from Denver. I absolutely love that. If those links makes their way onto the map, there's no real Zealots or Adepts to take care of them on the side of GunGfu.
I mean, I think go home, fire up +2, drop a Templar Archives, or at least force Denver to attack into you off creep, right? Because Denver's army is way better on creep than it is off creep. Roaches have a very, very difficult time making the difference against Blink Stalkers if they're not on creep. So I think just slow down, take a little breather, take a moment for yourself, and just like, all right, I've tried to end it. It didn't quite work out, but I'm still in a more than fine spot. The Vipers! Oh my goodness! That's really bad. All right, now we can continue being aggressive.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, Denver has really turned around this game. It's now his to lose, but I mean, with those Vipers being picked off, all of a sudden GunGfu's army feels a lot stronger, like you just mentioned. This disruptor is trying to find something on the other side. There's no real opposition in terms of anti-air. There are Hydras, but they're never going to be able to catch the Warp Prism, especially not without the Vipers he just lost.
Yep, and these Hydras don't have speed yet either, so it's actually going to be super hard to avoid Novas. Denver just gets on top of the disruptor and kills it, and actually grabs the Immortal too. This game is just getting really chaotic because there's a little hit squad in the top left side still. There are Roaches still harassing the gold base of GunGfu. Dark Templars will get an easy cancel on this hatchery. Denver is a bit too far out of position. Please cancel it, Denver. And he does. These games today are wild. These are the playoffs, aren't they, Cats?
Yeah, they really are. I mean, this is bananas. Denver did a fantastic job on the other side of the map with those Roaches, but on this side, I mean, he has little room to overstay, and Denver has done a fantastic job with army composition as well.
I'm gonna double check. No. All right, so it seems to be just Cats. Hopefully he'll be back soon. 6 drones have gone down for Denver. I was like, man, Cats is really shutting me down today, guys. Denver is still ahead in supply, but he's obviously not in a comfortable spot because he has only 2 Vipers out. He's got a Lurker then. The first 2 Lurkers are morphing. Maybe we can get a couple of lurkers out on the battlefield. This is still doable. GunGFu having a hard time keeping this Roach Ravager Hydra army at bay. Hydras do have speed, by the way. No, they don't. They have range. The Disruptor is a little bit misrallied. Can he drop the Immortal? Yes, he can. Good job there by GunGFu, saving the Disruptors. But he's taking an awkward fight now with the Stalkers on the right side. Seems like he really doesn't want to give up his gold.
Can you hear me now?
See. Yes, I think you're back, Cats. I hear you.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, I don't even think I died for the stream, but it seemed like Discord was disconnecting. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's been a very impressive game here from Denver to bring it back. And now these DTs, though, Kev, they are doing amazing. I am sorry that you thought I wasn't responding to you. I absolutely was.
It's okay. I figured within a couple seconds. GunGFu needs to be careful, though, with Stalkers. Running into Lurkers is always difficult, but yeah, the Dark Templar is really making a difference here. 17 workers going down. I don't understand, by the way, why GunGFu didn't just build a battery a bit closer towards the probes in his gold. Would have made his life easier. War Prism is taking so much damage with 2 Disruptors inside of it. It barely lives. Spore Crawler is going to move, and Disruptors get unloaded. What the hell is this game? What the hell is this drop?
Oh, nice recall there. I mean, quick thinking from GunGFu to kind of mitigate damage there. At the same time, he has found some room here to harass the gold base of Denver. Might have to evacuate here. If he gets surrounded, he could lose a lot of these Stalkers. I wouldn't mind seeing something like Infestors as well. The Infestation Pit is available, and these Blink Stalkers are kind of a nuisance.
Yeah, but I think Denver's just too broke for that. Like, he only has 400 gas in the bank. He obviously needs to build Lurkers. He needs to get a few more Vipers out. Denver has played one hell of a game besides that triple Viper donation. That was painful because he made so much of honestly very little. In a weird way, it felt like he was often bluffing. He's like, don't get close, I've got a big army. But he really didn't have that big of an army. But it was big enough to keep GunGFu at bay. He's done a good job. The Lurkers do have both upgrades now, so they've got range and speed.
Yeah, GunGFu, I mean, he had 2 Disruptors to work with at that point in time. It seemed crucial that he landed at least 1 shot, but Denver kind of baiting the first shot was fantastic. And now it's definitely a game here. I mean, GunGFu's production looks a lot scarier than Denver does, however, but I'm not sure. These Vipers and Lurkers are very, very powerful on the side of Denver. This is still anyone's game for sure.
But it does almost feel that Denver's got 1 shot and 1 opportunity, right? Because he's been on these 4 bases for quite some time. He's clearly having a very hard time establishing a 5th. Nova's going forward, blowing up a couple of Lurkers. The Abducts do land, but obviously GunGFu can afford this. Denver, it's going to be a bit more difficult for him to replace those Lurkers.
Yeah, and GunGFu has done a good job of kind of containing the creep of Denver, so it's difficult for Denver to move through this middle of the map. It's actually a very long route because his creep has receded all the way back to his 3rd base. So he's trying to make what he can happen here. He does have those Vipers. Only 3 Lurkers remain. And now with the High Templars and the Storm, potential feedback onto the Vipers, it could get dangerous. But GunGFu, be careful.
Oh, the Zealots are actually not running towards that hatchery in the top left. Okay, and 3 of them do go for that hatch. I would love to see the Dark Templar help out too. Because killing that hatchery, I actually think is the most important thing. But the Dark Templar instead is going to run into a base that doesn't have detection. And I mean, there's so many nice things here, right? This is Christmas and Easter on the same day. A low HP Hydra Den, low HP hatchery, and drones. While Denver is like, all right, I can't be bothered anymore. I'm just going to try to get you out of there. But off creep, it's a lot more difficult than on creep.
Yeah, difficult decision to make for sure for those DTs. And on the other side, I mean, beautiful storms are landing, but he's now out of storm. 2 of the Immortals are going to fall at the front as well. And Denver does have a sizable Lurker army here, so he's continuing to push up forward. If he can situate himself at that third base of GunGFu, Denver could still make some magic happen.
This DT is sick, man. Like, the Hydra shows up, it's like, get out of here. GunGFu is going to get on top of these Lurkers, and I think this is it, man. I think he's going to be able to clean this up. And with all the bases, he's still got up and running. And that 1 Dark Templar with over 20 kills, killing all the drones, killing the hatchery, killing a Hydra. Maybe killed the Hydra Den too, but I still think that GunGFu has done it. I think he has survived the scariest part. He's got that base in the top right. The only thing that's a bit sad is that he wasn't able to kill that hatchery in the top left. If he would have clicked the Zealots there, he would have been able to kill this hatch, and then I think Denver is super dead.
Yes, indeed. I mean, Denver's going to have to oversaturate that hatchery. It's his last healthy base. The gold is nearly mined out, like you said.
DTs are going for it, by the way, in the top left. This is a very big deal. There's no detection. This is the only base that Denver really has going for himself, and he is still going to end up losing it.
Yeah, good prioritizing there for GunGFu. Chooses to go for the hatchery over the drones. Absolutely the right call. Now Denver has nowhere to mine. Storms are just going to add insult to injury here on the army of Denver. And Denver is kind of out of options, out of time, out of wind. He's going to run for his life with his drones, but he really needs to try to make something happen right here, right now, because the situation is not improving for him anytime soon.
A 18-minute game, or at least we're entering minute 19, and GunGFu has killed 79 drones in this one. That's pretty mental.
Yeah, especially seeing as it's mostly Dark Templars. I think it hasn't been like big Zealot run-bys, or the Disruptor shots didn't really land that well. So yeah, Denver, I mean, he maybe wishes that he had some static defense or something, but for the most part, he had an amazing comeback at the start of this game. It was looking like he was going to be able to turn it around. Not able to, sadly, for him, but GunGFu making it a series is very interesting.
Yep, GunGFu's everywhere now. He's in the natural. He has a couple of Zealots in the main base too. I'd love to see him at this point, while these Zealots are going to town on 2 bases at once, maybe make some progress with his army, push back the creep a little bit in the center. But I also don't mind if GunGFu just takes a little moment for himself. Tournament life is on the line. He knows that this game is going well, and he's like, all right, I'm not going to do anything silly. I'm not stepping on creep. If you want to win this game, go ahead and run into my army. And both players, their armies are a lot better defending than they are attacking.
Yeah, and I love what GunGFu is doing. He's sending the War Prism very smartly to the last remaining base, or to the last should-be remaining base of Denver, right? Like the one that Denver really, really wants. So when he sees the army here, he can move in with a War Prism. Potentially, if he defends this army, that'll be checkmate. If he can warp in just a round of Zealots on the other side of the map, that will mean that Denver is not mining anywhere. And even if Denver gets a fine success here, GunGFu has already taken his triangle, and things are looking up for him.
Well, Denver is kind of taking care of 2 bases now at once, though, because the gold is not really being mined from anymore either for GunGFu. So GunGFu does have to be careful. The Hydra then and Lurk then are both so low on HP, but the Vipers will land a few more abducts. One Immortal gets picked off, the second one goes down too. Where are the High Templars? We've got 6 High Templars. They are still chilling on the right side of the map. Why? Why did we go there with all of our army but did not bring the High Templars?
Yeah, like I was saying, I would have much rather seen GunGFu kind of just threaten that space in the top left-hand side, because he's making progress towards really nothing too important here on the south. I mean, you could absolutely go for the main, but there's not even too much to find there. I guess some tech buildings at the natural base would be maybe his best target, but not easy to move in on that area. It is one of the more susceptible areas. Regardless, it's the path that GunGFu is taking here.
Another abduct lands. We do have one Storm connecting with a couple of Hydras and Roaches, but the Vipers were actually able to regain some energy after that first little skirmish, because the High Templars were not part of that battle in the first place. GunGFu's making this really hard on himself, man, because now he's basically down to 1 mining base too. He has taken control of his gold again, and that's good, but he kind of needs that gold at this point, because he's been taking some very unfavorable trades. He does land some feedbacks here, and that's big. Those are the targets that he needs. And that's kind of what he just needs to do to get Denver out of this game. Don't forget that the Lurker then is super low on HP. The Roach Warren goes down, so no more Roaches for Denver. But this army, though, is in a very awkward spot. We're going to get a few more abducts. My goodness, GunGFu.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely win. This is definitely a win condition by killing all of the tech buildings here at the natural base. But like I was saying, it's the worst position I think that you can fight in. Actually, Denver's going to get a cleanup, and the supplies are still kind of even. On the other side, Denver is attempting at something here with some Immortals being exposed, and they will actually get taken down. The shield battery overcharge might be enough to keep this one alive. It's very, very close. And yeah, as the army dissipates, the Zealots are going to charge in and clean things out. And now there is just a Lurker then remaining, it seems, for Denver. An Infestation Pit. Actually, the Hydra then still lived at the natural base. So all in all, like you said, Roddy, I mean, GunGFu really making life difficult on himself.
I was very worried there. For a split second, I was like, is he losing? I'm glad that he had those 2 Immortals and a couple of extra Zealots shown up, because I do feel that GunGFu deserves a Game 4 in this series, but it's not going to get any easier. There is still barely any detection in the top left side, so even just a random Dark Templar here and there. There is no detection on the map at this point. There are only 2 Spore Crawlers, but they're both in the main base, so the entire top left side has no detection. 1 DT would make life already hard for Denver.
Yeah, especially if this hive ends up going down, then there will be no opportunity for Overseers to be morphed and the likes. The creep spread on this side of the map, on the north-hand side of the map, has been amazing for Denver, so props to him for that. That's allowed for a lot of his defense and offense onto that gold base. These Immortals will get trapped here, but not full. Unfortunately, the upgrades are not going to be there for Denver, seemingly, as, yeah, he only has the range upgrades and no melee at all.
GunGFu really kind of needs to save this base, but I don't know if he can. That's a lot of lurkers. There are still 8 lurkers on the map, 5 Immortals, 8 Zealots, and 3 High Templars. Couple of Storms. It does seem that GunGFu is going to kill even more drones as he has split off a couple of Zealots towards the top left. So Denver is only on 31 drones. He's going to lose pretty much all of them. But GunGFu still needs to clean up this army. Maybe he can take it slow and steady, just spam a couple Storms, and then try to fight somewhere near a battery. As we just saw, Cats, battery overcharge is pretty good.
Yeah, it's excellent. And yeah, this northwest base, I mean, it really had to be the target earlier for GunGFu. Now focuses on it, and now will reset Denver back to the Stone Age in terms of economy. So, I mean, at least Denver does have some units to work with. He has some odds here in this series. Should he get good position with his lurkers, they are one of the strongest sieging units in the game, obviously. And he has done a good job before of situating himself at very annoying positions to dislodge. But this is a lot of Immortals, and I kind of like that, at least compositionally for GunGFu.
I mean, GunGFu should win this game because he's the one who still has income. But Denver is actually one with bigger army. Can we lend feedback? Yes, we can. Those could very well be the game-winning feedbacks that he needs because now Denver can be aggressive. You can't really run into 7 or 8 Immortals. I was honestly a bit worried that because we saw 2 or 3 additional Abducts go off. I'm like, oh my goodness, GunGFu could very well be running out of steam. But I think those adapts will give him the time that he needs to start mining from the gold, start mining from the top right, even though it got cancelled by a couple of very brave Hydras.
Yeah, and I mean, GunGFu's army is pretty funny, actually. It's just Immortals and a couple of High Templars. You don't see that every day. There's like no gateway units for the most part, aside from those Templars. So it's a very awkward army, but it really works well against the lurkers. I mean, if there were enough Hydras to kind of contest, or Zerglings even, this could get a little bit dicey for GunGFu, but he seems to have the right composition here.
Yep. And he is going to try to get that base up again near his main, the triangle. Where are the Vipers? Those are the ones that I'm still worried about. They did get some energy again. Observer is going to give high ground vision, so GunGFu knows where the Vipers are at. He's going to move the High Templars forward. How is this game so close?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. This is a very annoying position as well for GunGFu to go up as well. But, I mean, the Vipers are not really even going to contribute that much. If GunGFu decides to go for it at any point, these Zealots are going to destroy. The Hydras, a very plus EV trade there. The Templars are going to find one feedback, but two of them will lose their life in the process. And now all of a sudden, I mean, the army of Denver just got a lot stronger without those Storms to answer the Hydras.
Yep, there's not 0 gas income, but not a whole lot of gas. At this point, there is one assimilator running. For GunGFu, he is about to get access to these assimilators, but yeah, this base is very important. At least he's got 2 cannons and a battery to fall back to. Denver really is making the most of pretty much nothing. It should not be good enough because he has no income. There are 16 drones, long distance mining from the natural towards the top left. That's his income, Cats.
Yeah, that's crazy. He could actually be getting a little bit more from the third. But yeah, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do here, and Denver doesn't look like he's gonna be able to ever make a hatchery again, so he's just trying to make something happen with this army. This is probably the final siege. If GunGFu can break it, it will be game over.
Oh!
But will he be able to break it? I mean, I'm inclined to say yes, Kev, right? Like, he should be able to take this fight.
Absolutely. With 11 Immortals, we even have an Oracle that's going to give us some reliable detection. GunGFu is losing some probes though, but now he's going to go for it. 11 Immortals moving forward. There is still one brave High Templar somewhere. While this is going on, GunGFu is actually deciding to send a few more Zealots towards the top left. Feedback does go off, but not before the Abduct goes off. I mean, near the boundary, there's no way that these Immortals lose.
Yeah, most definitely not. And I mean, it's not really a fight that GunGFu even needs to take at this point. Yeah, his income is very bad, but it's, you know, still 3 times as much as Denver's income is. So, you know, if he's just not doing anything, if Denver is not making any progress, that's still an advantage for GunGFu over time.
Yep. Look at the gold base of GunGFu. That's a lot of probes.
Yeah, this game is actually pretty crazy. The Zealots, I mean, they went on an expedition to the northwest and found a couple of drones for their troubles. Also confirm on the side of GunGFu that he doesn't need to do anything but hold to win this game.
Oh, Lurker actually getting some really juicy shots off. Man, one wave of spikes just killed 7 probes because the gold was so oversaturated. I don't think I've ever seen someone struggle more to close out a game than GunGFu in this one. I feel like he could have won with his first 9 adepts, and instead it turns into a 29-minute banger that is still gonna go in his favor eventually. unless he just rallies his immortals one by one into 8 lurkers and well, 2 Vipers now actually. How the hell did Denver get money for 2 Vipers again?
Yeah, I have no idea, but I mean, yeah, I actually can't imagine a world where Denver ends up winning this game. It's gonna be extremely challenging, but all to his credit, he has found bases time and time again. GunGFu has not been able to secure his own side of the map. The problem for Denver is he hasn't been able to situate a base himself in what feels like 10 minutes.
Yes, it has been 10 minutes. All right, Viper's going for it. Every immortal kill counts, and he abducts an immortal. He kills an immortal. GunGFu retakes the base now in the top right side, so at least he's gonna have some income again. Drop a revelation. You've got oracles. Oh, the oracle gets revelated. Oh, Jimmy abducted, at least revelated then. Does revelate the army, pushes the army back a little bit. There is one High Templar, cats. GunGFu, you can just make some zealots. I feel like he had time to at least build like 12 zealots and just A-move this army. Okay, does land a feedback again. Oh, this game.
Yeah, what's crazy is there's 2 observers, and there was basically just 50 gas, now 97 for GunGFu, so he can remake some observers now. But for a second there, I mean, his gas income was null. So if those 2 observers died, then maybe there was a chance for Denver, which would have been absolutely crazy. But I mean, Denver keeping playing the positional game. GunGFu not really offering himself the fight that he has wanted for a long time. So GunGFu, in a certain way, is kind of doing the right thing to make sure he never loses this game, right? Like, the problem is he's not winning it either.
Well, he has a couple of zealots. I feel that the best way for this game to end is by Denver actually accidentally killing his last 2 buildings with his Vipers. That is the only fitting ending to this game.
That would be incredible. I mean, yeah, at some point, Denver's not mining anything, so at some point, those Vipers are just gonna have to wait around for energy if this continues on. And the lurkers are amazing at sieging here. They're gonna get this cannon. The last High Templar will land a good storm. This might be go time now for GunGFu. He has decided that it is
blinding
Denver
cloud.
this time. Not relocating. Yeah, beautiful blinding clouds. Actually,
oh my God.
What is going on? No, Roddy, no way. No way this is happening. The supplies are now even. All of a sudden, Denver is pushing on through. He is killing all of the probes of GunGFu. Do we have the most ridiculous comeback ever?
I think we do. I actually think we do. Denver is still 16 supply ahead. The immortal count just went from 11 to 1. The 2 Vipers are still going strong, but the Zealots, they could eliminate it. Like, imagine if he kills... if he kills the Spore Crawler, there is 1 Overseer on the map, but I guess GunGFu... Okay, GunGFu suddenly has so much money, by the way. Well, I feel... Does he not know what he wants to spend it on? Like, what are we waiting for exactly?
I am not quite sure. 7 probes to 5 drones. Maybe he's just trying to make the decision. I mean, it's only Zealots, really. There's not much of a decision to make, so maybe he wants to mine a little bit more gas. Before doing anything else, a lot of those Zealots barely surviving.
Uh-oh, Denver just killed an infestation pit, man. I think it's happening. How many structures are remaining? 5 extractors, 2 spore crawlers, a Hydra den, a spawning pool, and a hatchery. That's it.
Yeah, what's weird is this is still kind of anyone's game, but the win conditions have shifted dramatically, right? Like, because GunGFu now is, trying to take a base in the top right-hand side, and that is where he can maybe draw the army of Denver once again out on the map.
Okay, killing the Overseer is really big, because that was the only detection, other than that spore crawler in the main, but now the spores need to start moving around. I do think going for Blink Stalkers here is very smart, because they obviously have some more micro potential than Zealots do. GunGFu only has 7 probes remaining, though. My goodness, how did we go from 50 probes to 7? And Denver is probably winning this game now, cats.
I mean, GunGFu, I think, knows his win condition. If he can make 1 Dark Templar, that'll be fantastic. So he's distant mining the gas from the top right-hand side of the map. So you see his gas count actually slowly go up. If he can warp in a Dark Templar, he just wins, right?
No, there are 2 Spore Crawlers.
Oh, okay. I mean, on defense, at least he will be situated to where, I mean, the spores, I guess, technically could walk over to the other side of the map. But if he warps in a Dark Templar and the spores can't make it to this creep over here, he will start mining, and then there's just no going back to them.
No, he blinks forward. Oh my goodness, every unit counts, and he loses those 2 stalkers too. GunGFu's army is getting smaller and smaller. Denver has brought the drones to the other side of the map too now. The funny thing is that he has got no money. This almost feels like a bluff. Like, if you're gonna base trade me, I can build an extractor on your side of the map. But Denver is so broke, he can't even build an extractor.
Yeah, I mean, this is an incredible game, and GunGFu now relocating all of his gas mining to the other extractor that he has at his triangle third base. At least once was a triangle third base. I am certain we will see a Dark Templar warped in as soon as he gets the gas for it. He's getting really, really close at 99 gas now. So the next trip should probably do it. And from then on forward, I mean, GunGFu, if he can find the money, and he does have the money for another Nexus, then the one Dark Templar should keep him safe forever, and he should be able to finally close out this game, I think.
I don't see how GunGFu wins, to be honest, mate. I can
Really?
see, yeah. I can see GunGFu drawing. I don't see him winning. I don't see how he kills 2 Spore Crawlers. How does he kill 2 Spore Crawlers?
Because, like, here's the thing, right? He has money for a Nexus. So if the Dark Templar just keeps him safe and gives him free value on this side of the map, then how does Denver win?
Well, Denver winning Lurkers. Lurkers outrange everything. Oh, DT is slicing up a Lurker, by the way. That's big. Denver, but Denver can just run away.
What can Denver do? Yeah, he can run away, but now GunGFu can take a base. And then what does Denver do?
Well, how easy is he going to take a base? Denver can get some creep going. No?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he has to walk the spores across the map. That's his win condition, is walking the spores to the base that GunGFu chooses to take. And then...
Wait. He just lost the queen. He has one active... You know what's important? Right now, there is an active creep tumor in the main base of Denver. Take a look at the main base of Denver. Bottom right, there is an active creep tumor. I actually think... Okay, he's got another one on the top side, by the way. So he's got 2 active creep tumors. And then he can start making creep go forward. This game could last like another hour. And it should have ended with the first 12 adepts. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, a problem for GunGFu right now in taking this top right-hand side base is obviously the Overlord pooping. He doesn't really have any... He has nothing that shoots up for that Overlord. So if he can kill that Overlord and take that Nexus, I think he just wins the game. The problem for him is taking the Nexus. I mean, I think that at any point, honestly, he can take a Nexus. I think that the win condition for Denver is, like you said, that active creep tumor pushing him forward, because he can't even poop any more creep with his Overlords. The Overlords that are already pooping creep, great, but that's just the one on the top right-hand side. There's no other opportunity for them. What happened? Was that the Dark Templar? Don't tell me.
No, like 5 Zealots died. I'm really going to disagree with you. I actually think that Denver has pretty much won the game. I don't see how GunGFu, even if he warps in a Nexus, right? Let's say he warps in a Nexus. Yeah. How does he keep it safe? Denver's army is way more powerful. Templar.
Yeah, but it can't attack the Dark Templar unless you have a Spore Burrowed.
Yeah, of course, but look at the DPS of that army of Denver. He's got all these Lurkers. They are super beefy. It takes like 5 shots for a DT to kill 1 Lurker. He can run the Lurkers forward, get a cancel on the Nexus, disengage again. Like, it's a slow and steady process, but Denver has actually won this game now.
All right. I mean, I think Denver maybe... The way that I see Denver winning, also potentially with the Lurker firing onto his own units to kill the Dark Templar, and then you wouldn't even need the detection potentially, right? Like, maybe that is the best maneuver, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I guess this Spores maybe crawling on forward, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, GunGFu, he's not mining now.
GunGFu is never gonna be able to kill 2 Spore Crawlers. That's actually impossible. Like, he doesn't have the DPS for it, and the thing is, even if the DT like gets a couple swipes off on the Lurkers, he will never get that many swipes off that he can keep 6 Lurkers at bay and somehow get a Nexus up. Like, I think GunGFu is dead. I honestly think he's dead. The only way I can ever see him win is by killing all the buildings, but I just don't ever see him killing 2 Spore Crawlers, so that's impossible.
Yeah, a little bit surprising also that Denver's not mining with his 5 drones. I mean, neither player choosing to mine right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, GunGFu, he is maybe looking for a draw at this point, right? Like, I mean, he seems to be situated at his natural base, but the spores are gonna crawl on forward, so I feel like GunGFu needs to try to make something happen right now with this 1 Dark Templar. I mean, I think he needs to know or try to find out where the spores are. He does have the Oracle, and start killing stuff on the other side of the map, because Denver really will eventually, like you said, crawl with his Spore Crawler.
Yeah.
I don't know that GunGFu is completely out of this game. But maybe with the Lurkers, yeah, maybe he is.
I think he's super dead, Cats. There's no other way to put it. There is absolutely no way that GunGFu can ever kill 2 Spore Crawlers with the Hydras. What he could hope for is that Denver accepts a draw. Denver should not be accepting a draw, because he actually has Lurkers, and Lurkers outrange everything. Lurkers can win this game. He still has 2 Vipers. No, if Denver accepts the draw, that's a mistake. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Denver is not crazy. Denver, how push with sports? Yeah, Denver has 1, Cat. It's actually over.
GunGFuBanDa. I mean, yeah, I guess he's maybe just processing the loss, same as I, because, yeah, I mean, this game was absolutely bananas. One of the greatest comebacks that we have ever seen. And, yeah, I mean, with this active creep tumor, it might be enough for the sports to... it will be enough for the sports to eventually do it. Here comes the Dark Templar.
Yep. Oracle is gonna start using Pulsar Beam in the main base, so it can take out the hatchery, but it's just... 2 spores are too powerful. You know what? What is one way he could win? If he kills the 2 active tumors, because then the tumors can go forward. But he has.
How could he ever, though?
Yeah, how could he ever? Okay, maybe that Oracle, by the way, that Oracle. Oh yeah, I want to say the Oracle could maybe kill the Hydras, but
parasitic
it's also
bomb.
not possible because parasitic bomb. Yeah, it's just over. Denver has won.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets rid of this Oracle, then there's no opportunity for the Dark Templars to ever see the Lurkers either. So that is one less tool, one of the last 2 tools that GunGfu has. So yeah, the second parasitic bomb should do the job here. And with that, I mean, Denver would have to be extremely careless. Yeah, I mean, there's just no opportunity. You're completely right. This is game over. And yeah, it's just up to GunGfu to kind of realize that and give it away. Now trying to make something happen with the Dark Templar. I feel like he should have started making these moves a lot earlier. I mean, the creep has extended from that active creep tumor that was on the top left-hand side of the map that you were talking about way earlier. And GunGfu, at some point, he had 600 resources in terms of minerals. So I really did feel like he had room to mine somewhere to make a nexus and to defend himself with the Dark Templar.
Right.
But no longer the case.
War Prism picks up 4 Zealots. Okay, he is gonna try. He's gonna try to kill all the buildings on the left side, and what I think he's then going to do is just A-click on the 2 spores. He's got 4 Zealots, a Dark Templar, and an Oracle to kill 2 Spore Crawlers. Do you believe in another crazy plot twist, Cats?
I don't. Like, I mean, there's just not gonna be enough DPS, but you have to commend the efforts of GunGFuBanDa here. Doesn't want to get 3-0'd for sure. Could pick up these Zealots right after to avoid any damage from those Broodlings, and that's what he's gonna do now. Relocating the Zealots to try and take down these gases. Denver does have enough energy on the Vipers that he could go across the map and kill. But how is that Oracle still alive, by the way? I felt like it should have been taken down a long time ago with those parasitic bombs.
You know what's the craziest thing? That I really feel that GunGfu had multiple opportunities to kill those 2 Spore Crawlers, by the way. There was nothing protecting them. They were forgotten about, okay? They weren't even important. Both of them were in the main when there was nothing to protect in the main anymore. But it's those 2 Spore Crawlers that will most likely grant Denver victory here. Unless, yeah, just the craziest thing ever happens. An abduct, another abduct, Oracle gets recalled. What? What a save.
That was one of the better recalls I've seen. I mean, an extremely important recall. The abduct actually doesn't go through. Oh, the spores are actually exposed for a second.
I mean, there's no queen, so every little bit of damage does count.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
sure.
absolutely ridiculous. Denver quickly
oh my god, a
reacts, though.
stasis trap has been planted in the main. Imagine if Denver runs into the main base with his lurkers and he runs into a stasis and GunGfu still wins this game. That would be the sickest thing ever.
I mean, that would be the sickest comeback of a comeback. Yeah. Oh my god, this is actually absurd. The Spore Crawler might reveal this. No, because the Spores usually staying in the back as well. Is that in range? No, barely out, I think, right?
Probably barely out. Oh my god, he's gonna use the probes, he's the Zealots, the DT, and the Oracle that's somehow still alive. I mean, it's a lot of HP. Well, it's not that much HP actually, right? It's right now around 380 plus 380, so 760 HP. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
okay.
Denver knows about the stasis.
Knows, yeah.
Yeah.
Spotted it with the Viper. So now that stasis will not pan out for GunGfu, but I mean, props to him for giving himself a chance. The Lurkers would have had to walk in as well, right? Like, not even just the Hydra, so it was always difficult. Now, one single Lurker, I mean, that's the most cautious approach I have ever seen.
Yeah, in the most reckless best of 5 we see.
Oh,
There's another stasis! There's another! No! Okay, it's not enough.
Way too close.
It's not enough,
Way
but I
too
think
close.
GunGfu should try now. Like, I know it's not gonna work, but I do think he should try now.
That might have been his best opening. I mean, he still has... So, maybe if the DT can snipe... I mean, there will be an opportunity to snipe the tumor on the way back. No, the DT has given away its life. That's it. That is it.
It is not going to be enough. GG. Denver wins one of the most ridiculous games of the DreamHack Masters Winter 2020.